Welcome to Integrity Inspire, your daily dose of inspiration and motivation, featuring the bright and talented members of the Integrity Marketing Group family. Now, here's your host, Integrity co-founder and CEO, Brian W. Adams.
Well, hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining today's Inspire podcast. We've had so much incredible excitement around the Integrity platform and so much momentum. It's been insane. Recently, we just had a huge announcement with bringing on Ash Brokerage, and today we have a very similarly sized, incredibly huge announcement in the healthcare market. And I'm so excited to be here with you live today on video to share how big of an opportunity this is of two incredible organizations coming together. And it's my honor to welcome and to announce that Ritter Insurance Marketing is now part of the Integrity family. And I'm joined here with Craig Ritter, the founder and CEO of Ritter Insurance Marketing today. Craig, we're so excited to be with you, man.
It's great to be part of the family.
It's a fun day, man. So we're here in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. You guys have built one of the most admired, most respected organizations that we've ever known. In fact, I remember when Tom and Mike and I did our first deal with Steve Young. There was a lot going on. We were trying to finalize our deal. We were trying to get it done before we went on this carrier trip. We ended up going on this carrier trip outside the country. I finally get this thing closed, and the first guy I see was you. And I remember you and I having a beer. And I remember talking about like, hey man, we're about to do something big, 2016. And to be here with you today is such an honor. And I couldn't tell you how proud we are to now be here with you and your family and now finally being partners.
Yeah, that goes back a few years. That was Drummond Castle in Ireland.
In Ireland,
I remember that. I remember that trip very well.
Whenever we first started Integrity, we had this idea. We were working on creating new products, and we had this idea that if we all came together, we could all accomplish more. And your group was one of the first that we ever approached with this idea of joining Integrity to create new products and opportunities. I remember coming out and meeting with you and your dad and just talking about what we could all accomplish together. And to be here today is pretty humbling. But tell us a little bit about the history of Ritter Insurance Marketing, how you guys got started and became such a behemoth that you are today.
Yeah, my dad started the agency in 1994. Started with a single Medicare supplement product in one state, Pennsylvania. It was Pioneer Life's product. He got the exclusive in Pennsylvania, and it turned into the genesis of Ritter Insurance Marketing. Initially, we were URL Senior Care Division. We were partnered with a life and annuity company called URL Financial Group. So my dad was partners with those guys. I was his first full-time employee. He had a part-time employee, but I was his first full-time employee. So we were in the basement of URL, looked like a single-family house. We were in the downstairs. Always joked, if things got real bad, I jumped out the window, I'd land in the flower bed because we were actually in the basement. So he and I got it started and started to grow with them. And then around 2005, when Medicare Part D started and independent brokers were able to start selling Medicare Advantage plans, we acquired URL's part of the business and renamed it Ritter Insurance Marketing.
Wow.
So that was the first that the Ritter Insurance Marketing name came about in 2005.
And that's about the time I came to talk to you. About 2005, 2006, I remember sitting there, and I don't know if you remember this, I came all the way to Harrisburg to meet with you and Cal, your dad, and I remember your dad saying, okay boys, I gotta go play golf. You guys figure it out. You guys let it off, and it was amazing. So your dad, what did he do before in 94?
He ran a general agency.
Okay.
So he sold Medicare Supplement, long-term care, final expense. He sold all those products, door to door, knocking on doors. And then he got some agents underneath him. And he became the largest general agency for URL for their Medicare products. He had a heart transplant in 1990. I was still in college. I was a junior at Penn State when he had his heart transplant. Knock wood, it's been just a phenomenal time that he's just a blessing from God that he's still with us and he's still doing really well. He's still swinging those clubs. So he got out of the business for a few years, and then the gentleman at URL said, hey, you're such a great salesman for Medicare Supplement and these products. Why don't we take your skill in training and educating in our insurance agent base, marry the two together and start a senior market brokerage. And that was really the genesis of the idea for URL Senior Care Division, which became Ritter Insurance Marketing.
Man,
so that's how my
incredible.
dad got the business started.
So I've heard your dad had heart issues.
Yeah.
I never knew he had a heart transplant.
Yep.
I don't know when I don't know, most people don't know this about me. When I was a kid, the thing I wanted to do more than anything was be a cardiothoracic surgeon. Turned out I wasn't smart enough to do that. So
you're just doing this.
I was reading, I'm kind of nerding out here, but I was reading books by Michael DeBakey, Cooley, Isom, the kind of world-renowned heart surgeons at the time. Every science fair project I did was about cardiology stuff. And then I quickly realized I'm not that smart, so that's probably not going to be a good path for me. And maybe I should use people skills otherwise. So,
well, you've done all right.
So the first heart surgery, heart transplant, I'm dating myself. That's 32 years ago, right? That this happened.
Yep.
That is early on, and that had to be just so difficult for your whole family to go through at that time. It's scary.
Yep. It was. It's an experience that you remember your whole life. I remember I was in a fraternity at Penn State, and one of my fraternity brothers came in my room, must have been like 3 o'clock in the morning, and said, "Hey, Craig, your dad's getting his heart." Oh my God. And jumped in my car, drove to Hershey, actually, where we sit today, where he had his heart transplant. And he was one of the earliest heart transplants at Hershey Hospital.
Wow.
So
I just can't imagine what the feelings were about going through that. What's interesting is people don't realize the impact we have. So even though I wasn't smart enough to be a heart surgeon, those opportunities that we have to serve people today with their Medicare needs and healthcare needs, there's no chance that people could have some of that life-saving, life-giving care without some of the products and services that we offer by making sure that people have the right healthcare products, right? And so, this business has meant something more to your family because you've experienced it than just being in business, right? There's a purpose to it.
Oh yeah, and I think it makes a difference too that my dad was actually involved in the business. He had the opportunity to, hand out those death benefit checks, to be able to, hear from. He always thought it was somewhat funny because Medicare pays a lot of the bills, but when he would sell a Medicare supplement, he'd get a call from the spouse and say, we went to the hospital and we spent 10 days in the hospital and your MedSup product paid for everything.
Yeah.
And my dad would be just like, yeah, it paid for everything. He knew that Medicare paid 80%, but
right.
But in their minds, that is like such a valuable product and gives them so much peace of mind and really, provides the opportunity for us to have this kind of great life-saving care that we have in this country. So
yeah, it is. There's such a higher purpose to the business that we're in, I think, in a lot of ways. And those success stories that you hear about just the healthcare world, that, it's amazing that we get to be part of this. Now, you were at Penn State, you were talking about, and were you always going to be in the insurance business? What was your plan?
I was a finance major at Penn State, so I was thinking Wall Street, right? But I also like to ski, so I got my finance degree from Penn State, and I ended up moving to Salt Lake City, Utah.
I forgot about
working for USF&G, and I skied there for 5 years. Yeah. So I went to Snowbird, Brighton, Solitude,
Amazing.
Park City. Skied all that good stuff for 5 years, and then I was thinking about, what's next? Should I get my MBA? Should I go back to Wall Street or go to Wall Street? What should I do? And that's when me and my dad were having conversations in 1996, the year before I joined him, and he's telling me about how his business is going and how great things are going. When I worked in Salt Lake, I worked for a company called USF&G Insurance. And I worked in their surety bond underwriting department. So it was a little bit of a financial business. But one of the things I liked most about that business was working with agents. So I got the opportunity to work with insurance agents and listening to my dad tell his story. He and I were talking on the phone in the evenings, and he was telling me about what he was doing, and I was kind of relating that to what my experience was at USF&G. And I thought, this is something I think I would really like. So that was where we started, and I joined him in 1997. So in September, it'll be 25 years I've been in the senior market and 30 years in insurance.
That's amazing. I've known you for most of my career. And I remember the first time I ever met you, you were talking about creating quoting engines and innovation. You were focused all about innovating insurance, frankly, before anybody, I think, was talking about that. Even today, Ritter Insurance Marketing is known as an innovation company. You guys are so far ahead of most companies we work with. So when we got to know you guys and got to, continue, we've been working together a long time on supplying you product, working with you on different strategies, but really understanding the commitment that you guys have to innovation, it really aligns with exactly what we're doing at Integrity. Tell us a little bit more about your passion around innovation, technology, and what you think is the future of the business.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed innovating. I always like to try new things and, not been afraid, to put myself out there. I think that's a great trait and something you need, I think, as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
There's so many entrepreneurs within Integrity to have the courage to try things, but that's, always been one of my passions. So when I first joined my dad, sitting in the basement at URL, he was showing me, well, when the agent calls you, you pull out this piece of paper and you get out your calculator and you look up the zip code and you look up the, the age and if there's a smoker, non-smoker, all that stuff. And my background in finance, I had done so much work with spreadsheets. I was like, well, this needs a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
That was the first thing I did.
There's an easier way to do this.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So I actually wrote the first Medicare quote engine. It would have probably been in 1997 or 1998.
Yeah.
It was one of the first things I did because I was like, we need to automate this because I can't just do this on a calculator. So then we put the actual Excel file on a web page, and it worked, but it was a little bit clunky.
Yeah. All web pages were clunky.
Yeah, they were all pretty clunky.
I got my first email address in '98, I think. So
so
everything
was pretty close. Yeah, pretty close to that time. Yeah. So one of my fraternity brothers at Penn State was an engineer, and he worked for a technology company, and I approached him about helping me write the code to be able to turn the Medicare quote engine from an Excel spreadsheet into a web application. So that was the start of our Medicare quote engine. Some other things we did, I remember we used to send out contracts for agents.
Yeah.
So you'd, get the photocopier, you get the stapler, you'd fold the stuff up and mail it in an envelope. And I told my dad, I think we should be emailing these. I created, but my dad wasn't really good with email. So I created these little packages where I'd put them on his computer desktop and he could just double click on email and it would open up and have all the attachments, the rates, the contracting, everything an agent needed. It would have the letter pre-written and he would just type in the email address of the agent and hit send. So that was another example of something we did. Wow. And then another thing I thought was pretty innovative was we started our Medicare blog early on. That would have been, I think, in 2004. And that led to some great relationships and opportunities for us as well.
Dude, I didn't even know anybody had blogs back in 04. You've always been ahead of your time. I truly believe that. I remember the first time you and I met, you were showing me some of the things you were doing, and I'm like, I have never seen anything like this. And so, now at Integrity, it's amazing. If you fast forward literally to 2022, so you're talking 25 years, right? Yeah. That you fast forward from when you're creating the first quote engine to 2022, and people are still writing paper applications, faxing them in. I didn't even know we still had fax machines, and people are still faxing in applications and information. And this is one of the biggest industries in the world. You're talking about Fortune 4, Fortune 5, Fortune 11, Fortune 13 companies, right? These are massive companies that are still using paper and fax machines. And where you were already seeing that from way back then is remarkable. You've always been a bit of a pioneer, but that's something I've always admired about you. And that's where we are at Integrity with this passion to innovate insurance, because we think that there's such an important opportunity for us to be able to continue to expand on our innovation and be able to serve people better by using better technology. It's one of the reasons we brought on Silver Lake as a partner. Mm-hmm. It's one of the reasons we were so excited when you called me one day, or you actually sent me a text and said, you were like, hey, I think we should talk. It was one of those things that was like, man, we're on this quest to really help innovate insurance, and I know you are as well. And there's a lot of things you do a lot better than us, and we're doing a lot of things well. And so it's like, if we can bring this together, we can serve more people. And that was one of the things that I know for me was just, it's so exciting to say, how do we get there faster? Because you've just been a pioneer in that whole market, man.
Yeah, that's part of the business I really enjoy, trying to figure out ways to help agents do things more efficiently, to be able to make better choices. I really think that, the core mission of what we do is really to try to connect the consumer and that insurance company, and that, the model that you've created, I think makes so much sense to me. I was doing it on a much smaller basis because I was just working on the distribution angle and how do you connect an insurance product with a happy consumer, and using an independent agent as the intermediary to make all that happen. But we've been focused on all kinds of ways of how can we make the agent better. We've always had a tremendous respect for the independent agent distribution. We've always liked that they have all the choices out there, and we bring them so many options and they can find the best product for that consumer. So we like, being in that position of supporting the independent agent. But with all those choices, it gets somewhat complicated, right? Yeah. So you have, now even in the Medicare Advantage space, there's probably multitudes more products than there used to be, and those products are way more complicated. So using technology to assist the agent in being able to find the right product for their client is more important now than ever.
Well, and I think that's the most important part is we've got to make sure that we keep the client's needs always in focus and make sure that we're always serving the end consumer. Make sure that we're connecting the insurance company with them, make sure we're providing everything that they need, and using that with technology. And we're big believers in technology with CSG Actuarial, which has even taken the quoting engine idea to a bit of a different level with deft research and the data analytics. Thomas Arts on the marketing side with the product development with AIMC and others. I mean, what we're able to do, not only, and we're just talking about the healthcare side, we're also doing that in the life insurance and wealth side as well, is really being able to leverage that technology to, at the end of the day, better serve our customers. Because there's somebody like your dad who's waiting on the list that's needing those products, or the surgery, that life-saving surgery, and they need to make sure that they have the financial wherewithal to do that. My parents are customers of ours. And I mean, these are real people that are literally, my family and your family that we're here to serve, and we've got to do that in a more effective way with technology. And that's why, it's one of the many reasons I'm so excited to be your partner. I love a lot of different things about the thoughtfulness about how you built your business. I just have admired you for so many years. And I think everything from investing in technology to the way that you've worked with agents and given agents and agencies just world-class support, with the way that, while we might be competitors, we've always been friends, and we've looked at ways, how do we work together to help support people more. But I also have loved your logo. You've got the horse head logo, and for some reason, I've just always looked at that and I just love that logo. Tell us about how you came up with your logo.
Well, there's kind of a couple reasons. So one is that the last name Ritter in German means knight, K-N-I-G-H-T. So that's one piece. And, kind of your family heritage and background, I thought that was, important, that I wanted to kind of put that little Easter egg in our logo. Also, I was a big chess player. I played in high school and college, so I really enjoyed playing chess. Don't get time to play as much anymore, but I thought that kind of showed the ideas of strategy and forward thinking and making how to make the best move. So I thought it was an interesting logo for purposes of marketing and showing agents, hey, we're one move ahead, or this is make your best move. So I thought that would be a pretty fun logo. So that's kind of what got that started.
Man. I love that. I say this all the time. We're not playing checkers anymore, right? We're playing chess. You got to be thinking multiple steps ahead. You got to be thinking, where's the market going? What do we need to do to better serve people? And I love that story. Not only tying your family history into that, but also tying in your passion for chess as well, which is, I've got an incredible chessboard. One of our partners gave to me, a guy named Andrew Taylor, and he had it printed with a 3D printer. Next time you're in Dallas, I got to show it to you. And it's parts of every part of integrity. It's got the integrity eyes or the pawns. You got all these different pieces of it. Our building in Dallas is part of it, etc. But it's one of my favorite gifts I've ever gotten because it's so thoughtful. And it's because I believe we are playing chess. We've got to think ahead. We've got to look at what is coming ahead of this. And that's part of the reason we invest so much in technology, right? It's one of the reasons we're thinking, and investing in people and technology and processes so that we can serve even more people as they come into our market. Now, I also know in college and in high school, you also were passionate about another sport. I don't know, do you call chess a sport? I think you call chess a sport.
You can.
I mean, where I grew up, we didn't have anything like chess, but we were playing checkers or Connect Four. And then we'll play. So you were also passionate about another sport, and you know my boy Jim Sweeney.
Yes.
Jim Sweeney gives me a hard time. I hope Jim's watching this. Jim gives me a hard time all the time because I grew up in West Texas. I never can pronounce anything right. He always gives me a hard time. I mispronounced Jenga one time. I said, I don't even know if I'm saying it right now. It was Jenga, hell, I don't know what it was. But I call wrestling. And my wife always gives me a hard time because that's what I say. Like, it's called wrestling. So I got little boys, we like to wrestle on the floor. And Robin's like, it's not wrestling, it's wrestling. But I understand you were quite the wrestler.
Well,
and we tried to get an Integrity or even Ritter singlet to show it off today, but
I'm not so sure about that, Brian.
So tell us about your wrestling days.
Well, before my dad started in the insurance business, I don't know if you knew this, but he was a phys ed major, and he was a football coach, and he was also a wrestling coach. So he was really passionate about wrestling. So I started wrestling when I was 4 years old. My first tournament, I weighed 40 pounds, so I was a little guy, but wrestled up through high school. And then in college, I went to Penn State. Penn State has won 8 of the last 10 national championships in wrestling, collegiate wrestling. So I did not, I wasn't on the varsity. I wasn't on the team at all, but I did some intramural wrestling. So I've had a real passion for wrestling my whole life. Pennsylvania is really well known as a wrestling state. So we're really, really proud of that sport as a community. Part of that, we actually constructed a wrestling room on the first floor of our office. So one of our employees is the wrestling coach for the freshmen and for the middle school. He had a real passion about, helping build the wrestling community in central Pennsylvania and help young kids, boys and girls, because girls wrestling is becoming a big thing now, to be able to learn about the sport and get the exercise and the strength training and all that comes with wrestling. So we started that 2 years ago. It's just taken off. We actually had to expand the room earlier this year because we had so much participation within the community. We have people coming from 30, 40, 50 miles away to wrestle at our D3 club, which is on our first floor.
That is awesome.
So if you want to put on a singlet, we can.
Dude, you would pin me so fast, bro. Then I would have something else that Jim Sweeney could make fun of me for. Well, one of the things I love about you is your focus on family. I mean, this is a family business. One of our core values is family, as is yours. Tell me a little bit about your family. And you're talking about Ritter and your focus on your family name. I remember being in Ireland with you, and your wife, her family is from Ireland. Yeah. And I remember going around talking about her family history. I don't know if you remember this, while we were on those tours even. And so tell me more about your family and your kids and things.
Yeah, my wife is Heidi. She's Irish. She's awesome. Heidi O'Brien was her maiden name, so she's Heidi O'Brien Ritter now, born on St. Patrick's Day.
Wow.
So yeah.
Now you can't get more Irish. So my name was O'Brien too. My mom, every time I would do something, she'd get mad. She'd go, "Oh, Brian." So I would say I was Irish too.
All right, I get it now. That went right over my head.
So Heidi O'Brien.
Yep.
And I remember walking around Ireland talking about family history and seeing different O'Brien. There was a lot of O'Brien stuff over there. So that's awesome, man. Yeah. And you got 3 kids?
Yep, 3 kids. My oldest son is Quinn. He's going to Penn State. And my daughter is Callie. She's a freshman at Villanova University. Nice. And my youngest boy, Cash, is...
I just hung out with Cash.
Yeah.
He's a stud.
He was here, yeah. He wants to be a quarterback, so...
Awesome.
Yeah,
we
there's
need
some
to get
people
him
that know.
with, Steve Young.
Some people around here know something about football. But he's going to be... Well, he's in 8th grade, so he's going to be a freshman next year.
He's tall.
Yep.
Yeah, he's a tall kid. I always wanted to name... Robin will kill me if she hears this, but I wanted to name a son Cash. And Robin, whenever we had Shiloh, she just had this special purpose for his name of Shiloh. And I was fighting for Cash, but I went up to him. I was like, Oh, I love your name. That's like one of my favorite names.
Yeah, it's an Irish name too. So
Is it really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
Cash O'Brien.
Yeah.
Cash O'Brien Ritter. What's his middle name?
James.
James.
Me and my dad are both James too. Middle names. So,
and is Callie from Cal, your dad?
Yeah, a little bit. It's also an Irish name, but yeah, it's kind of an homage to my dad.
That's so cool.
Her middle name is Gia. I don't know if you know this, but I delivered her on my front lawn. So that's the story. I don't know if we can.
No.
I don't know if we can do that.
We got
story
time
now.
for this now.
Okay.
No, listen. We're talking family. I heard this story from someone else, but I never heard it from you. So you delivered her.
I did.
On your front lawn. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So we went to the hospital. They checked Heidi out. They said, hey, you can stay, or you can go home. And I knew Callie was our second middle child, and I knew that Heidi was a light sleeper, and I thought it would be good if she got some sleep. So I said, maybe we should go home and come back in the morning, so that way you get a good night's sleep, because they're always poking and prodding at you, and they're checking your blood pressure and everything. So I knew she wouldn't sleep, and she was going to be going through labor. So they gave her an Ambien, and they sent us home. It was a Monday night, I remember, because I was watching Monday Night Football, and I went to bed, and Heidi woke me up probably about 1. It was probably about 1 in the morning. Her water broke. So, so we, fire drill, go out to the car. I had the car parked out front of our house. I had everything packed up and ready to go. So I got her in the front seat. I ran around and got in the driver's side, and she said, we're not going to the hospital. I said, oh no, we are. We're, it's like 10 minutes. She said, no, we're not going. She said, I can feel her head.
Oh my gosh.
So I ran in the house. I grabbed the phone, the cordless phone. I called 911. I went across the street. My neighbor was the doctor. I didn't know what kind of doctor he was, but I just knew he was a doctor.
He's like a dentist?
Yeah, well, he was like an internist, so he didn't really have any experience in the subject matter.
He had more than you did, right?
But he knew more than me. So I had the phone cradled on my shoulder, and I delivered my daughter Callie. I remember talking to the 911 operator, and he's asking me like what, how old Heidi is and what her, date of birth and stuff like that. I'm like, dude, I can see my daughter's head. If you have any advice for me, if you got anything, just tell me now. Just tell me now. So I delivered her. You could hear her cry on the 911 call, which is pretty cool. Gosh. And then I tied her umbilical cord with my shoestring, and the ambulance came probably 5 minutes after she was born.
Dude,
but, that's the quick version.
Bro,
there's probably more details in there. But
over a beer, we're going to have to hear more of this. But dude, that has to be one of the most compelling, amazing stories I've ever heard. You had to be overwhelmed. You had to be freaking out.
Yeah, well, it's adrenaline rush. I think it all happened so fast. One of the funny things too is I mentioned to Heidi that I wanted to deliver our first child, Quinn. And Heidi said that was fine. All I had to do was get a medical degree and go through residency, and I could go. Yeah. So
what about Cash? Cash is coming. You're like,
oh, we were there like 2 weeks early.
We're gonna stay in the hospital. I'm not going through that.
I pitched a tent outside the hospital, and we stayed there for 2 weeks. But,
my gosh, what a story! And she's healthy, no problems.
Yeah, she's
great job, bro.
Thank you.
That's impressive. You're a man of many talents. Well, I do think
they named me the lawn doctor after
the lawn doctor.
That was my nickname for about a year.
That might stick, dude. Lawn doctor. So, look, I am honored to be your partner, and I know everybody else understands why today. I mean, just knowing you personally, even better now, knowing your family, your faith, your passion for serving others, the business. Why, just in your thoughts, why integrity and why now?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I enjoy the most about this business is building relationships with carriers. One of the things that we've been really good at is working with regional health plans. We have over 50 health plans that we have contracts with, so it's just a huge number. I love working with health plans, developing those relationships. I love innovating. I love the technology. So Medicareful is another tool that we have. That's an enrollment tool. Before, I think, any other FMOs out there,
we were Medicare Center. Yeah, you were doing Medicareful.
Probably one of the first ones, and we did Part D with Humana and SilverScript the first year. We did about 300 enrollments. That first AEP. Now I think we're doing like 80,000. Wow. So it's come a long way. But these are the things I'm really passionate about. I think with the evolution of the business, things get more complicated as you grow. Just being able to maintain all of our software, being able to stay up to date with all the compliance things. I mean, these are all things we could do, but they became a bigger and bigger part of the business. And really, things that I don't mind doing. As a business owner, you do what you have to do. But really, the things I'm most passionate about, I found I was having less and less time to do it. And really, the dreams and what I would like to be able to achieve over time, it seemed like these other things were starting to crowd that out. So last fall is when I kind of made the decision that I want to find a partner. I want to be able to accomplish all my dreams. One thing we don't have is a lot of time. So, to be able to move faster, to be able to get things done, to be able to see these things happen, for not just for me, but for my team, for our agents, and for the industry, I'm really passionate about. So that's really what, hit my heart, that I needed to, think beyond just myself and what I can do, and think what we can do together, and just try to imagine, going to a bigger place. So,
well, we're honored that you chose Integrity. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I am proud to be your partner, and as I know, everybody here today is super excited to be your partner as well. This is going to be an incredible announcement. It's an amazing opportunity for all of us to come together and serve more people, and I wouldn't want to do it with anybody more than what we've done with all of our partners, of all of us coming together, and I can't wait to have you as part of that. So thank you again. Really excited about this.
Thanks, Brian. And we're just getting started.
Just getting started, man.
All right.
Thank you, buddy.